Hey everyone, Scott Horvath here with the Baseball Roadmap, and we just wrote a blog about the things that you should ask yourself before trying out for a travel organization. And I've coached in the past for the Orlando Scorpions. Actually, they're just the Scorpions now, and I've coached for the Florida Burn for almost 10 years now. And I've seen what it takes to play at that elite high level. And I've seen tons of players come through tryouts, and obviously you have to rank based on certain skills and tools. And we put a blog together just to put some perspective for some parents, especially based on your age. I mean, I think the burns start at like 8th grade, 9th grade level, and I think pretty much all the high school level teams are around that age. And it's really the questions that you should be asking yourself. We want to kind of go over and help you understand what travel teams are looking for and then what colleges will be looking for. And obviously, the whole purpose of travel baseball is to play at a very competitive level. So playing on these top teams against other top teams so that you're playing at the highest of levels. And then obviously to get exposure. And the reason you get the exposure is because the top teams are playing each other, and obviously where the scout's going to want to be. They're going to be wanting to watch those teams play and those players play. So that's why travel baseball has become so big, and it is a good opportunity for parents to obviously have your kids play on these elite teams. So here's the questions to really ask yourself and kind of stack yourself up against players that are your same age. And obviously you might be developing at a different level, as in maybe you're a year behind physically based on you haven't hit your growth spurt yet or whatever else. But there's things you can obviously do to maximize your skills. And I've seen players go from the bottom team on some of these organizations to the top team by the time they were a junior in high school. And it's a testament to obviously the work they put in, but basically they might have developed a little differently than other players. So don't get discouraged if you're not on a top team right away, and don't just bounce team to team. Commit to a team. If you don't like what they're doing coaching wise, then maybe you leave. But at the end of the day, commit yourself to an organization. If you're playing for one of the top organizations, you're going to get exposure. You're going to get an opportunity to be seen by these colleges. So questions to ask yourself as a position player. First of all, how old am I? How old are you? That is the start. You need to know where you are in your progression. If you're in 8th grade, obviously you don't need to be doing things that you're going to be needing to do as a junior. But if you're doing those things at an elite level at that age, you're obviously going to give yourself a great opportunity by the time you're a sophomore or junior to get the best looks from schools. And obviously your goal is to play in college. So evaluate yourself based on your age and then put a plan together. And that's really what we're focused on. Put a plan together that is going to get you to that level. The next thing is, am I running a sub 760? All right, if you're not running a sub 760, you either need to be hitting for power or you're just a pitcher, because speed is very important, especially for the majority of the positions. If you're a catcher or corner infielder, sometimes outfielders can get away with it, but most of those colleges are looking for guys that are at least running a sub 7, which means you can move. I mean, you got to have some sort of speed to show, obviously, the travel organization, but these college coaches want some athleticism. So sub 760 is obviously the goal to shoot for. And then obviously the faster you get, the better it's going to look. Do I consistently make solid contact? Now, if you're swinging and missing in batting practice, that's not a good sign, especially in these tryouts. If you're swinging and missing, that's probably because you're not focused and you're not timing the pitcher up before you get in. You're moving too much or you're trying too hard. Now, you should make it look as effortless as you can. You should be getting the barrel through, and you should be trying to drive the baseball into the gaps. So making solid contact is something that obviously they're looking for. Do I drive the ball with carry? Now, when you hit a ball and you actually drive it, does the ball carry or does it just kind of die out before it gets to where the outfielders are? Now, coaches want to see the ball jump off your bat. If the ball's not jumping off your bat, you're not showing enough to where they can be like, oh, that guy's an elite type player. And obviously second, third team, there's some guys that make that based on some of the other skill sets they have. But at the end of the day, the ball's got to be jumping off your bat to show that you have something different than the rest of the players. The next thing is, do I drive the baseball to all parts of the field? Now, if I'm driving the baseball and I'm just pulling the ball the whole time, teams are going to get you out. I mean, obviously, unless you're a major league player where you're driving the baseball over the fence in that on that direction, like that's something separate. But you need to be able to hit the ball the other way. You need to be able to show that you can handle the bat and have some bat control. The next thing is, does your ball carry when you throw? There's a lot of players, especially even like in the middle school age level, where they haven't learned how to throw yet or properly, and the ball doesn't get the right spin. They're not gripping it right. They're pushing it instead of throwing it. They're not using their front side. Now, those are things that you need to be focused on. And if you're in high school and you're not doing that stuff, you're way behind. And that's why when a kid throws a ball and that ball carries, it looks special. It looks different. So your goal is to have that ball come out of your hand, look pretty effortless, and it needs to be able to carry to whoever you're throwing it to. The next thing is, do I make consistent routine plays? Can I get to a ball, field it out in front of me, and be able to make a routine throw? It's pretty simple. If you're making the routine plays, you can help a team. Those routine plays have to be made. And then the next one is, do I have range in the field? Can I move? Can I make plays outside of those routine? Now, this is a skill that's going to show with your feet. How good are your feet? If your feet aren't as good as others, it'll show. And honestly, that's where the speed and agility ladder, cone drills, all that other stuff can be put in so you can maximize whatever range you have. And it shows. If you can get to balls that other people can't get to, you're obviously showing that you have a little bit more elite range, and that's really what travel organizations look for. And then obviously colleges are always looking for guys with range. A lot of colleges are just looking for shortstops that have some range, and then they can move them to other positions. Now, that's not saying if you're not a shortstop at a travel organization level or a high school level that you're not going to play in college. Of course not. But a lot of teams are going after shortstops based on the fact that they have a lot of range and they can be converted to other positions. So make sure that you're working on that speed and agility, and obviously cone drills and stuff like that. So that being said, we're going to move on to questions you should ask yourself if you're a pitcher. How old am I? Again, that's obviously based on your development, where you are in your process, strength, your physical stature. You really need to know, kind of put yourself on a level with the rest of the players around you and understand maybe a kid's more developed, maybe they have more facial hair, you can see it already, their body's more developed. Then you can be like, okay, I have a little bit more time to get to that physical stature. I might not be throwing as hard, but give myself a year and do the same things and my progression might be different. So put yourself in a realistic scenario with that. Do I fill up the zone consistently with strikes? There's nothing more frustrating for these organizations than to get a player, even if they throw 95 miles an hour and they're throwing balls, walking guys, and it really is a nightmare, especially in travel baseball when people cannot fill up the zone. So if you throw strikes, you give yourself a much better chance of making these teams. Even if you're not throwing hard, these travel organizations, if they can call a game and throw off-speed pitches for strikes, you're literally giving yourself a tremendous opportunity to play on some of these teams. So really try to fill up the zone with strikes. How is your velocity? Obviously, velocity is something that's God-given, and obviously you can train it. So there's obviously a ceiling with everybody, but you can train yourself to throw harder. And there's obviously ways to do it. There's lots of people around. Florida Baseball Ranch focuses on that. There's a lot of training things that you can do to really help your velocity out. Now, you don't have to throw 90 miles an hour, but you do need to be able to try to maximize your velocity to give yourself a better opportunity. Now, the ball can obviously have sink or cut or some other things that will help obviously miss bats, but the more velocity you have, the better chance you have of getting it by guys. The next thing is, can I throw a breaking ball for a strike? Having one pitch that you can throw for a strike is dangerous. If you cannot throw a breaking ball and account for a strike, teams will be teeing off on your fastball or whatever pitch you can throw for a strike. So you need to be able to throw a pitch other than your fastball for a strike. The next thing is, do you have a strikeout pitch? Whatever pitch it comes down, you get an 0-2 or 1-2 count. Do you have a pitch that you're going to go to get the guy to swing and miss? Do you have a curveball that's going to break out of the zone? Do you have a changeup that's going to drop off the table? Can you throw a fastball elevated in the zone to get the guy to chase? Those are really things that you need to know about yourself. Do I have one of those pitches? And if you don't, it's going to be a little bit harder to compete for you. Now, you can obviously get guys to put balls in play, which is a great thing, but it is nice to have that strikeout pitch, the go-to strikeout pitch. Do I hold runners well? This is the most frustrating thing for coaches, and it's not taught very well at a high school level. Being a high school coach for many years, I've seen, I've laughed at it where we're stealing left and right on teams. Their catcher's a stud, and their pitchers are literally like a 1-7 to 2 flat to the plate, and they're not giving themselves a chance to throw runners out. So if your pitchers aren't doing that, whether that be holding the ball a little bit longer, so you're varying your times to the plate, so they're just doing longer holds, that's going to help. And then obviously slide step or just gathering yourself enough to where you're able to get it to like a 1 flat to like 1-2, 1-3 at most, getting the ball to the plate so the catcher has a chance. Now, travel teams that don't do that well normally lose because there might be 1 or 2 runs that are going to make the difference in that game. And when you have elite level players playing against each other, I don't care how elite that pitcher is, they need to be able to throw that ball at a chance to give the guy a chance to throw the runner out. The next thing you need to be able to do is you need to be able to field your position. Can you bounce off the mound? Can you make a play on a bunt? Can you do routine things that are going to be able to make those outs that you need late in the game? I've seen so many guys can't get off the mound. There's some bunts, and they end up throwing the ball away. Can you move off the mound? Can you field your position? PFPs. And the last thing is, can you throw a wave pitch? Can you throw a pitch out of the zone that is a competitive pitch but is not a strike? Now, at the Florida Burn, they're very, very good at the wave fastball. They'll throw a ball 6 inches off the plate. They'll throw a fastball a foot off the plate, and they're trying to throw it there. They're not trying to throw a strike. They're trying to get the player to either chase or maybe an umpire is giving them a little bit extra on that outside corner, and they're trying to get that call. But they're not going to throw strikes in situations where they're ahead in the count. All right, can you throw a curveball out of the zone when you need to? 0-2 pitches, you're not missing down the middle. That's basically a no-no, especially for any of these coaches. It'll really frustrate your pitching coach if you can't throw an 0-2 pitch out of the zone. So those are the things you need to be asking yourself and truly evaluate yourself based on those questions, because so many parents are like, my son should be on the top team. I think my son is going to be a D1 college player, and he does so well. He's always been the best in Little League. He's been the best on his travel organization. But in all reality, the things that these colleges and travel ball organizations are looking for are those questions that you need to be asking yourself. And you need to be able to show some tools that are elite at some level, whether that be obviously speed, power, velocity. Can you do the other little things that are really separate you from the rest of the competition? So if you make a second or third team, it's not the end of the world, because these second or third teams, I don't remember exactly. I think maybe the Florida Burn had on the second team last year had 10 guys go Division I off the second team, and it's just kind of how it works. If you're good enough, you're going to make it to college, and the more you practice and the more you can answer those questions in a yes, the better chance you have of obviously playing in college and then maximizing your chances to play at the next highest level. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at thebaseballroadmap.com. Leave a comment or even reach out to us on Facebook. We'd love to help with anything, especially maybe if you're looking for certain travel organizations or you need help choosing to accept a spot on a team or anything like that, because we've seen so many things over the years and we understand the process that it takes to even play on the travel organizations, then obviously to play for a college at a college level. So reach out to us anytime at thebaseballroadmap.com.